Hello and good morning, everyone. Sorry about that short delay there. Welcome to the second day of National Careers Week 2021. My name's Tom and I work as part of the Meet Your Future team and Bridge team here at GMCA. So this week is part of our Meet Your Future campaign, which was launched back in April 2019, and it was to enable you guys, young people, to have conversations with employers whilst also experiencing different workplaces. So as part of our work here over the past 12 months, obviously it's looked very, very different, but we've been speaking with young people, all you guys from all 10 boroughs of Greater Manchester, to find out how you've been feeling, how you think you should be supported through the pandemic, about your return to school, and then obviously about into your futures as well. So we've been listening to what all you guys have been saying, and we've learnt a lot. As part of that, we've developed a whole suite of information, resources and services that are there to help you guys, and you can find all of those on GMAX, the Greater Manchester Apprenticeship and Career Service, and the link to that is in the chat there, so you can have a look at that at some point this week. Over every day this week, you'll be able to join sessions like this one and chat with employers from Greater Manchester, as well as hearing from notable people about their journey and kind of how they ended up where they are today, which is what this morning's session is all about. So before I introduce our guest, I just want to point out the Q&A box somewhere on the screen now, and you can kind of any questions you have throughout the session, just pop in there and we'll do our best to answer them kind of towards the end of the session. So without further ado, just want to introduce Carl Austin-Behan, who is currently the LGBTQ advisor to the Mayor of Greater Manchester. Good morning, Carl. I think you're on mute there, Carl.
Always. Hi, thank you for the invitation for National Careers Week across Greater Manchester. I think what's really great about this is I think in reality, I think I would have loved this back in sort of 1986, 87 and 88. So I think we've moved on leaps and bounds. So my name, Carl Austin-Behan, my pronouns are he, him and his. I'm age 49 and this is a personal journey of myself. I went to Crumsall Lane Primary School and Junior School in North Manchester. And then from there, I went to Abram Moss. And while I was in Abram Moss, doing my sort of careers advice session, I remember saying to them I wanted to be a firefighter or a shop fitter or a window dresser. And I just remember them looking at me as if to say, no, that's not something for you to do. So I ended up doing my work experience at B&Q in Cheetham Hill and spent 2 weeks there and had a brilliant time. It was fun. Not exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I did get a Saturday and Sunday job out of that. So that was a good advantage there. When I was at school, I was a bit of a loner. I mixed with others at school, but I dipped in and dipped out of friends. It wasn't just a case of having one group of friends that I stuck with. I sort of came in and out of different groups. And also, I spent a lot of time in Boys Brigade, same as the Scouts, the Guides, the Brownies, you know, the ATC, the Fire Cadets. And I think that really helped me, shaped me at an early age for discipline and for knowing what was right and wrong. I left school at 16. Now, in 1988, we were the first year of GCSEs. And at the time, the teachers' unions themselves were going on strikes and they were trying to work out what, you know, this new exam process, how it was supposed to work. And we had a lot of uncertainty then. And I left school, as I say, at 16 with one GCSE, and that was in drama. I did various jobs. My very first job, I was a butcher, and I lasted about 3 hours till I thought, there's no way I can do this. It was horrible. It was just, it just wasn't nice to sort of think about all that meat and everything. So I left that at the lunchtime of my first day. Then I went on to do a bit of work for newsagents, supermarkets, and nights at W.H. Smith's. And I'd actually been working, doing Saturday jobs as well. So I'd been doing various works at that time. Anyway, at the age of 17 and a half, I decided I was going to join the Air Force. So I joined the Air Force and it took me 18 months to get in, and I was 19. Now, at the time, it was illegal to be LGBT within the Royal Air Force or within any of the armed forces. Anyway, I joined up and I had to lead a double life at times when I was in the Air Force. But when I was 20, there was a Hawk aircraft, which is the same as the Red Arrows, that had taken off at RAF Chivner, where I was working, and it crashed. Unfortunately, the pilot managed to get out, but then unfortunately, the other pilot, he actually ended up being trapped into the aircraft. I got into the aircraft and I managed to rescue the pilot, but unfortunately, he died 11 days later. And with that, I was awarded with the British Humane Society Bronze Award for Bravery and a Good Show Award from the Royal Air Force. Now, I'd done loads of different charity work. I was doing lots of extra work within the Air Force during the whole time I was there. I was involved with SAFA, which is the Soldiers and Airmen's Association. And in June 1996, when I was 24, I got mentioned in the Queen's Birthday Honours List for a Commander-in-Chief's commendation. However, at the age of 25, in 1997, the Air Force found out that I was gay, and I was kicked out. And I could have gone to military prison for 6 months. That's only 24 years ago, just for being gay. And I think in a way that's what really shaped my life at an early age, because being kicked out of something that I'd signed on for 22 years, I'd agreed to do this work, and I was passionate about the Air Force. So I was kicked out. I tried to write to my MP. I wrote to Tony Blair, but it was just illegal at that time because that's just the way the rules were. So I went to end up coming back to Manchester for a while. I stacked shelves at Asda, in Hume, and in Bury. And then I actually joined Greater Manchester Fire Service in 1998. With that, I was the first gay person to join the fire service. So they had no diversity and equality at all at the time. And I stayed for about 18 months, and I left because, not through any fault of the fire service, it was just the fact that I'd joined for the wrong reasons, and I wasn't enjoying it. And I believe if you don't enjoy something, don't do it. And it's about that fact that there's no point just doing something, going along with it, just to get a pension at the end of it. Life is far too short. After 18 months, I set up my own promotions company, doing you got the free paper, the Metro. We launched that with the Manchester Evening News back in 1999. And with that, I didn't really have a clue about business, and I learned so much at the early stages of VAT, of national insurance, and how to deal with staff, and I did that for 10 years. When I was 2005, I was aged about 33. I got involved with local politics, and the reason why I got involved with local politics was because I was fed up of moaning about the environment. I was fed up of moaning about bins overflowing, the state of the canal, people parking in cycle lanes, people parking on pavements. I got annoyed about that, and rather than just keep moaning about it, I decided I'd do something about it myself. So I got involved in local politics, and in 2010 I set up a cleaning company, and we're still going strong today. We do the community levels apartment blocks, and then, as I say, with local politics, in 2011 I was elected as a Labour councillor for Burnage in South Manchester, and I did that for all the reasons I said earlier. But then also, I wanted to fight for equality. And then what happened was, I then saw that we had a figurehead. We had the Lord Mayor, and I decided that why should this Lord Mayor be someone who looks a bit like the Fat Controller out of the Thomas the Tank Engine? You know, they've been on the council for 30, 35 years. So I put myself forward. And in 2016, I was elected the youngest Lord Mayor of Manchester, and also the first openly gay Lord Mayor of Manchester. I had a brilliant year, and it gave me that opportunity to go into schools, go into places of worship, and tell my story, but also to understand from other people about themselves, and also to promote equality and diversity. I came off the council in 2018. I was given an honorary doctorate from Bolton University. Not bad, considering I had one GCSE, and now I've been made a doctor from Bolton University for my services to LGBTQ plus equality across Greater Manchester. In 2017, Greater Manchester elected its first mayor, Andy Burnham, who many of you will have seen yesterday. He was the first elected mayor for Greater Manchester back in 2017. And at the same time, we had this LGBT action plan that the LGBT Foundation had been working on, and it was a Greater Manchester action plan for LGBT equality. And the Mayor, Andy Burnham, true to his word, he fully believes in equality, diversity, inclusion. This was groundbreaking because it's the first in the country and possibly the world that we had this paperwork and we had this map. And it was to work with schools, the public sector, the private sector, And Andy then asked me, and we had various meetings, and he appointed me to be the first LGBT advisor to the Mayor of Greater Manchester and to the Combined Authority. And that's a great privilege for me. In 2019, I was appointed as Deputy Lieutenant of Greater Manchester to represent the Queen and the Sovereign. We have a Lord Lieutenant and I'm Deputy. And then in 2020, I was awarded the Queen's New Year's Honours, an OBE, as part of the Queen's New Year's Honours list. And, you know, and I think with that's created so many different things and so many options for people across Greater Manchester. And the reason why I say that is because when I talk about being able to go into schools, one thing that I really want to sort of encourage is the fact that if you've got any organisations within your schools, within your workplaces, if you've got an LGBT support group, if you've got a staff network, get in touch, because I would love to come have a chat with the group and support the group as best I can and look at the inequalities we've got across Greater Manchester. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I would say that life isn't straightforward. We're going to make mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. There's going to be challenges, some highs and some lows. And as long as you're passionate and you give it a go, it doesn't matter if you fail, because it's better to have tried and failed than never tried before, because otherwise it'll only be yourself that sort of keeps, that's at the back of your head, keep thinking about it. And yeah, be completely positive about everything you do. Never regret anything. Turn them negatives into learning experiences. If you have the opportunity when things are going wrong and it becomes a negative, turn that negative into a positive. We all make our own. We all make our own destination. We all make our own futures. But believe in yourself. I can remember when I was joining the Air Force, and my brother said to me, "You'll never last. You'll never last." Do you know what? Part of that never last gave me the strength to make sure that I did make it last. And I'm passionate about Greater Manchester. I'm passionate about what you out there can all do. And as I say, if there's anything I can do as the LGBT advisor on a level to come into the schools, to speak to the schools, whether it's on Zoom, when we can get back to normal, because remember, it is on the curriculum now. So I'm here for you, and that is part of my promise to Greater Manchester and to our future. So that's a very quick overview of who I am and where I got. So I'm more than happy for questions.
Thank you very much, Carl. Amazing to hear about kind of your story and what's happened and kind of where you're at now. Very, very inspirational. So I just quickly want to go to some questions because we have run over time a little bit. But a question here is, what has been your kind of favourite job so far out of everything that you've done?
I think as a job was becoming Lord Mayor, because I think at the time I thought that there was going to be a lot of challenges, especially when it was when we were dealing with faith and religion. I didn't think that I'd be welcome to mosques, and I didn't think I'd be welcome to temples and synagogues to be able to tell my story. But they embraced me with open arms, and the same as schools. You know, being able to come and give an assembly and to let people know it's okay to be gay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have two mummies and two daddies. And I think that year, so normally Lord Mayor would do about 350 engagements. We did over 1,100 that year. And if it hadn't been for the Lord Mayor doing what I did then I wouldn't have met the other people along the way. I wouldn't have achieved as much without that one sort of that stepping stone. So really, really proud of that. I'm really proud of the fact that I, as a gay man, managed to get married because it was made legal. As a young child, I always wanted to get married and have kids, but knowing I was gay at the time, that was never an option. I'm now married. I have a child. So you know, we've moved on so much in such a short time.
Brilliant, thank you. And another question here, which goes back to one of those key events in your life. So what was going through your mind when you saw kind of the man in danger in the aeroplane? In the aeroplane,
the weird thing is, because when I got kicked out of the Air Force, I had my medal taken off me because you weren't allowed to have medals, and I've now got that opportunity to have that back. And I think there's been a lot of memories going through my head this last sort of 2 weeks, because we've just had LGBT History Month, and I still remember it as if it was yesterday. But adrenaline took over. It was about the fact that that's what I trained to do, and just adrenaline to sort of get on there, to have the canopy pulled, but being on a light, so that the ejection seat was live, It was still lit. The aircraft, there was flames all around me. There was things ricocheting off. It was fully armed with bombs. My own safety just went out the window because mentally it was about getting that man out of that aircraft. And you know, the heat was 650 degrees plus, and I can still smell it now to this day, the fumes that were there. But you know, you do what you do when you're in that situation.
Of course, yeah. So the last question here, I've got a few. What would be kind of your number one bit of advice or top tip for any young person currently facing a difficulty in their life that has either knocked them down or that they're struggling to overcome now? And this can be related to kind of anything personal, family, or maybe even school related. What would be your kind of number one bit of advice?
Right, if there's anything that you've got that's sitting in the back of your mind that's making you worried about exams, making you worried about anything about coming out or anything about anything in your life, and it's worrying you, you need to talk to someone. Don't let it bottle up inside you, because the longer you leave it bottled up, the more anxious you become. And when they're anxious, you become stressed. You know, and that's even if it's about not handing in some homework or sort of, you know, you've got your exams coming up. You know, I'm probably not the best example of this because I know that I say that I left school with 1 GCSE. I'm not that academic, but I've got other attributes, and you are exactly the same. So we're all different, and it might be a case of, you know, you might not be brilliant at something at school, but in the other world, in the real world, you know, I never went to university, but I've managed to make something of it, and it's about. If the advice is to speak to someone, make sure that other people know how you're feeling. Don't bottle it up, because minute by minute, day by day, that's what gets you down. And the last thing people need is for people to be feeling in a very low place. You know, these last 12 months with COVID, I can honestly say that I think everybody, whoever they are, even the mayor, even myself, even Sasha that you've got tomorrow, you know, we've all been in dark places where we've had to talk to other people to get us out of that, to make sure that we're okay. And you know what? It's okay not to be okay. And when your mate asks you, is everything okay? Rather than just turning around and saying, yeah, I'm fine. If you're not fine, tell them, because at least you've told someone who then might tell somebody else. And as I say, try and be positive, and don't let things build up. Just don't let them build up. Deal with it as soon as possible, because the sooner you've dealt with it, the easier it is to move on to the next stage.
Of course, yeah, I totally agree, and I think it goes by, you know, the saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, and I think that's a very, very strong piece of advice that everyone can use at some point in their life, definitely. Yeah, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but any questions that haven't been answered, if you could email them to us at bridge@greatermanchester-ca.gov.uk, that'd be great, and we'll aim to get back to you. So yeah, a big thanks to Carl there for sharing his story, and a massive thanks to all you guys for watching. I just want to share with you quickly the programme for the rest of the week. We've got some amazing sessions coming up, as Carl just mentioned. We've got Good Morning Greater Manchester with Sasha Lord tomorrow morning, but the rest of the day we've got maths and our future buildings, aim to kind of look at, if you're interested in maths and engineering, that'd be a good one to go to. We've got the Power of People, which is, I believe, is aimed at kind of HR and retail, and then join me again at 1 o'clock with Suez to look at careers in science, kind of looking at maths and physics to do with recycling there. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks again, Carl, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.